Good afternoon. I'm Rabbi Rob Nosenchuk of Congregation Mishkan Or, honored to bring support today and help us all pay tribute to a very special life. We remember Patti Spiegle. We intend to join our hearts together and be together a community of meaning and shared purpose. Mourning can be a time filled with many emotions, bitter and sweet. Patti's family has asked you to lean into sweet. Lean into celebration of her values, linking her life with the millennia-old tradition that she joined onto, the people of Israel and the eternal life that we carry forward. Robert Frost wrote, "Gather the stars if you wish it so. Gather the songs and keep them. Gather faces of women for keeping years and years, and then loosen your hands. Let go and say goodbye. Let the stars and songs go. Let the faces and years go. Loosen your hands and say goodbye." Eli, Eli, shelo yigamer leolam, hachol v'chayam, rishus shel hamayim, Barak HaShamayim, Tfilat HaAdam, HaChol V'Chayam, Rishu Shel Hamayim, Barak HaShamayim, Tfilat Adam. Oh God, my God, I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of one's heart, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, Barak HaShamayim, Tfilat Adam. Chose these words set to music, words composed by Hannah Sanish, words that express our eternal appreciation long beyond any portion of life in which we have breath, to enjoy what you see here sand and the sea, and being by rushing waters, recognition that we are part of an eternal landscape and all sentient beings, especially in this season of Passover. Seek freedom. Freedom to live as they wish. Freedom to carry on. Freedom to celebrate. Freedom from disease. And when our bodies are weak and weary, freedom from making yet another comeback. Today we are so very touched by your presence. You should only know how much it means to Patti's family. After the conclusion,
they are a beautiful harvest of a life lived with purpose. And now that garden continues to grow in all of us. You see this harvest in Will's empathy, his tenderness, his athletic grace, his love of movies, and his books. In Emma's unwavering independence, her thoughtful focus, and the deep love for animals that's already paving her path to becoming a veterinarian. In Madison's grit and courage, unafraid to be the only girl wrestling among boys. In Jonah, we see her quiet strength, her steady determination, and comedic timing. In Juliana's thoughtful perfectionism, fearless sense of adventure, deep, deep compassion, a spirit eager to see the world and embrace all of its cultures. All of Patti's grandchildren carry her legacy: creativity, empathy, resilience, that grit, that fire. That's her legacy in each of them. You see her in the way they love, the way they notice things, the little things, the way they speak from the heart. And now her greatest harvest, her children, Jen, Tom, and Mary. Jen, her oldest, is the one with gifted hands. She builds, she fixes, she creates. She holds the threads of family history, lovingly passed down by Patti like a treasured heirloom. Jen is the keeper of roots, grounding the family in where they've come from and all they've overcome. Tom, the middle child, is Patti's quiet heart, gentle, steady, and deeply empathetic. He creates home through every meal he prepares, every laugh shared around the table, and every quiet act of care. In the way he shows up for others, you can feel her spirit, calm, kind, and constant. And then there's Mary, the baby, Patti's reflection, her soul in motion, strong-willed and endearing, tough yet tender, fiercely loyal and unapologetically honest. The two shared a bond beyond words, a deep, unspoken trust that only souls cut from the same cloth can know. Patti raised her children with unwavering love, and now they carry that love forward. They nurture others with open hearts, even when their own are hurting, just like Patti did. As a single mom, she did what she had to do to make ends meet. She baked cakes, ironed shirts, sewing dresses. She was resourceful. She was tenacious, a woman who turned survival into art. Her hands were her compass, her touch, her love language. When she sewed, cooked, or held your hand, it was her soul speaking. And then came Chuck. A man who had lived a bachelor's life stepped into this family with his arms wide open. And he didn't just marry Patti, he married all of them. He brought his own gentle strength and gave them something they hadn't had before, stability. And together, they all became whole. Patti was little, but mighty. Her presence was always known. She was not typical. She was fierce. She was whiskey in a teacup. Her strength and spirit were undeniable. She made every holiday feel sacred. She knew everyone's story, and she made sure the family stayed connected, even when life's distractions made it difficult to see each other. And her love extended far beyond blood. She welcomed Todd, Michael, and me as her own. She let us know again and again, you belong here. In a hug, a text, a card, a meme, her presence and deep love extended to us all. And then her beloved animals. Pock, Boo Boo, Duffer, Duke, Penny, Shamus, Lou, Molly, Maisie, Elvie, Jetty, Sunny, and now Brutus and Daisy. She advocated fiercely for them, spared no expense, right up until the end. It gives me comfort to picture her with those beloved animals waiting patiently to greet their mom in heaven. What a sight that must have been. And for me, I wanted to share something deeply personal. Patti and Chuck opened their home to my best friend of 41 years, Jackie, who was fighting her own private battle with cancer. She sought care at the Mayo Clinic in Arizona, and Patti and Chuck welcomed her into their home for 6 months. And during that time, it was COVID. Patti cared for her through 25 rounds of radiation, surgery, and recovery. She cooked, she cleaned, she sat beside her. She laughed with her, she loved her, and I will forever be indebted to both of them for their care of my best friend. Who does that? Who pours themselves so fully into someone else's healing? Patti did. That's who Patti was. Patti fought her own private battle of cancer for 24 years. A force unseen, she carried the weight of the world, steady and true, even as life tested her, a real-world superhero. She was a fighter in every sense of the word, a survivor in every sense of the word, rising every morning, no matter the pain, her spirit unbreakable, her fortitude unmatched. She never met a stranger, she always had room at her table for one more. She lifted anyone in need, she nurtured the broken, mended hearts with her touch, and gave what she had even when she didn't have much. She carried the weight of others so they wouldn't have to do it alone. And she never once asked for credit. And that's just it. She always built a bigger table for everyone. Patti was deeply spiritual and converted to Judaism. She felt a calling, a deep and divine pull towards this faith. She embraced every part of it. She respected it. She wanted to learn everything and anything. Traditions, holidays were deeply rooted in that faith. She enjoyed teaching Christians about Judaism and helped everyone understand the why. And now that she's gone, we feel what we always feared, that when mom goes, home goes with her. But that's not true. Because love doesn't end, it changes form. She is still here in every hug, in every story, in every act of compassion. She's in the sparkle of her grandchildren's eyes. She is visible in the actions of her children. She instilled in her children and her grandchildren a lesson they carry still. Find a way forward. Life can get messy, but fix it and live your truth while you do it. She's in the traditions she created and the foundations she laid. In the whisper of a breeze, the breath of a memory, the echo of her laugh in the next room. So as I wrap, a message to Will, Emma, Madison, Jonah, and Juliana, because I feel like this is what she would want to tell you. Love deep. Give your all. Don't miss the dance. Laugh. Wear the goofy socks. Eat the cake. Love each other fiercely. Stay connected and make it count. And remember, you are loved beyond measure. Just close your eyes and remember Bubby. She's standing in front of that Cactus Hotel, smiling and waving. forever attached to you with an enduring invisible thread. And if we all want to honor Patti, let's build a bigger table. Rescue a stray. Speak the truth even when it's hard. Show up for someone who needs to be reminded that they matter. Live with grit, live with kindness, and with full-hearted presence. That's what she did. That's what she'd want. We love you, Bubby. We thank you for your enduring love. We will carry you with us, our compass, our steady place, and now you are our forever. What a gift it was to be loved by you, and you will be forever missed.
I don't know about for you, but that was the most extraordinary set of words. What a beautiful tribute. Dear friends, there is a story in the book of Samuel which functions a little bit like the movie The Godfather. Saul, the king of Judah, invites the young King David to a banquet in celebration of Rosh Chodesh, a new moon. David is cautious because he fears Saul is trapping him and decides not to attend. But Jonathan, Saul's son, who is truly the beloved of David and one who protected his friend, Jonathan, knowing that all the while they may never see one another again, turns to the young King David and says, "Your chair will be empty. You'll be missed." We're just into Passover, where we sit together intentionally in our chairs for remembrance. We turn the pages of a Haggadah and we enjoy good conversation, laughter, and a table set just as someone has set it, to know it's holy, to know that it conveys the spiritual presence of those who sat with us in the past, those who created the bounty that we enjoy, and those who are borrowing our eyes now to see us standing up for what counts most. But the empty chair is a place where, if everything was right and good, our loved ones should still be, because they shaped us. They merit that place at our tables because they earned it in our hearts. These last words were a metaphor from my colleague, Rabbi Sam Gordon. I share them today because the dearest people here in person and those conveying their love by live stream are recognizing the life and recognizing and acknowledging the death of Patti Spiegle. As we've already heard, one thing that she strived to do with every living energy was to fulfill her most noble values, to offer the most personal forms of affection, and to make a covenant between her and the people around her and the people that would survive them after her lifespan. The agreement was in exchange for knowing throughout her life you'd always be loved by her, that you'd agree to love Patti back and treasure all that her life taught you. Especially up for the role of treasuring Patti is her beloved Chuck, who feels like when he met her and they began a life together, he found a best friend, a life partner, a loving pair, a priceless jewel. He is, no doubt, as in love with Patti as he's ever been. Their partnership has been an inspiration and blessing to their families of origin and all who admire them because of their devotion and mutual trust and the way they have showed constant, big-time caring for the kids they raised and really anybody who needed them. They intended their marriage to last many more years. She so loved the holiday of Passover, would have appreciated this year's opportunity to cook for people, to bring smiles and laughter, to open up her very own personally collated Patti Spiegle Haggadah for one more year. She'd weathered 3 previous bouts with cancer. She and Chuck, though, are still so proud to have reached in anniversaries the number 36, double high. As they prepared and pored over the words, clearly over that beautiful obituary you would have seen online, the children, Patti and Chuck, have so invested in. Jennifer and her Todd, Tom and his Miriam, Mary and her Michael, they clearly agree to terms about Patti that they do not take lightly, describing her as the embodiment of grace, strength, and quiet courage, a person determined and successful to make her core values known, that fierce love, that unwavering resilience. To borrow Miriam's metaphor, that whiskey in a teacup. We'd already gotten too far in the service for me not to have mentioned her 5 favorite words, tagged to the 5 people she admired most in the world. The names of Will and Emma and Madison, Jonah and Juliana. She'd like me to carry on about you and Kvel for the rest of this eulogy. But mostly, she'd want us to continue to be there to support you and your commitments to shape the world around you going forward, because she did. She is a profound example. When you live with Patti Spiegle's kind of decency and optimism, as a true family matriarch, you do get to Kvel at times of joy, but you also enjoy being the voice of encouragement when people face the confines of life. Tom says his mom's life was phenomenal and too short. But within its briefer span, she helped so many people. If you were sad or scared or confused, her place, wherever she was at the moment, was a safe place. And if she's grieved by you, she's leaving her affection for you. Patti Spiegle was born September 23rd, 1951. She was herself a mama's girl, the only child of Jean Day, a true brave soul who raised Patti at her own, at a time when single parenting was much more rare and isolating. Patti took notes to know how hard it is to do this, to do it well. With Jean's every waking energy, she successfully inculcated into Patti the notion of building life about which you can be proud, making trust, affection, and hope your signature. It's really something that all of this reached fruition in Patti's adult life, because her mom, Jean, herself didn't have this kind of upbringing she was able, with striving, to give to Patti. Their bond was strong. When Jean raised Patti in Cincinnati, she focused her attention on getting Patti, hook or crook, an excellent and valued education, graduating from Western Hills High School and then University of Cincinnati. In both places, she made and enjoyed keeping friendships. In recent years, I was sharing with the family she had connected with me as her rabbi back in Cleveland, but as also her friend on social media. It was hard not to notice, when her birthday came around, just how many people there were to radiate positivity right back to her. So many people who loved and appreciated who she is. Jen explained to me in a way why she had so many birthday greetings. Because any person Jen's mom ever met, she sent birthday cards. You know it. In other words, she got goodness from others because she had history as a goodness giver. She enjoyed deeply the friends she made up growing up, and the ones with whom she and Chuck have for a long time enjoyed in more seasonable places to enjoy than Cleveland, Ohio. She loved the warm climate in Arizona and the mountains around her, South Carolina as well. Any climate, not particularly Cleveland's. They also met people while traveling the world and greeted the opportunity to bring those friends into their circle. Two of Chuck and Patti's friends, Lois and Doug Rose, sent to the family a note describing Patti as a whole world of people in one. They said she was generous in a thoughtful, personal way, right gift, kind word, right time. Cards and musical frogs playing in the garden. Patti was helpful and organized to a high degree, creating Labels, Lois says, for my tree project, teaching me how to do it. Computer wizardry with airlines and hotels. Patti was farsighted and wise, planning ahead before you knew you needed something. Apparently she could read Harry Stone's thoughts and Doug's and anticipate their future. Patti was brave and courageous. Her postings on Carrickbridge, a testimony to her determination. And she created a community and shared journeys with us while being so proud of her dear ones and loyal to them and her friends. She joyfully spoke about accomplishments, milestones, sharing stories and photos. Patti, Doug, and Lois, they wrote that you were a herder of cats and a juggler of people and events and inspiration, one of a kind. I was delighted to hear from Patti's children how much meaning Patti continually found within the traditions she knew and for which she transcended all other aspects of her upbringing to commit to a life destiny she saw as a Jewish person, observing mitzvot, doing righteous deeds. 33 years ago, an adult with plenty of responsibilities already, Patti elected to take classes with others and become an adult bat mitzvah. Proud as she always was of everyone else, her adult bat mitzvah made Patti proud of herself. In addition, among multiple work opportunities outside her home, actually she spent quite a time in direct or similar settings to where I work at Mishkan Or, because she had served previously both on the staffs of suburban Temple Kolamit and the Temple Tifereth Israel, but at that time it just had one name, Silvers. She's also held positions with other companies, notably working for the Cortland Group with Harry Stone. Mary told me that Patti really never stopped working, though, also with her keen eye on behalf of her family, because of her mom's relatively close span of time between her birth and Mary's grandma's birth. Mary sees her mom as part of what you'd call the original sandwich generation, before it was ever so named, for being on the sandwich, the midst of caring for kids and caring for her own aging mom. Patti seemed to do so without letting her mom or her kids see her sweat. She always had an iron in the fire in terms of vocation. That didn't make her any less of a volunteer to help anyone who needed to achieve anything. She was to Mary the quintessential woman who cares for and throws herself into supporting other women, be they friends, daughters by law. When they needed it most, she had what they needed. It's April in Cleveland. I don't have to tell you all this is a baseball town. It makes me realize she was, in a way, every ball team's utility player, ready to play any position needed. Cake baker, dry cleaner, calligrapher, quilt maker, seamstress, champion level bowler and golfer, hostess, so many talents. We didn't get into the series without an excellent utility player. The team with Patti had on it someone who was small but mighty. She managed to show up for people while also prioritizing marvelous trips with Chuck, not denying herself the joy of travel to see the Sydney Harbor Bridge, New Zealand, Greece, Israel, the Galapagos Islands, climbing Machu Picchu. Chuck and Patti also sought a special trip with each grandchild together to make profound memories with their bubby. The word bubby is itself for this family a safe, supportive, creative, and renewing word. Every grandchild knew that their buggy had a record and an intention of being sure they were seen and heard. She remembered their favorite songs, inside jokes, unique paths that just helped someone feel special. Jen said my mom was my best friend and my mother, all rolled into one. We spoke many times a day about important stuff or quick little thoughts, and it will be very difficult, Jen said, to find my new normal without her. Because of how close we were, my kids and I spent a lot of time with her when they were young. My husband would travel for work, and there were many times we went to Mom and Chuck's house every week. Bubby was who my kids could go to about anything and everything, even closer than other grandmas. She even took them by herself on their own fun weekends, indoor water parks. children's theater plays, camping, many fond memories. That's an excellent life, an excellent example. In Judaism, that sense of counting our moments as precious, imbuing them with Kiddushah, with holiness. Well, if there was a Jewish value that was closest to her heart, I think it might have been that one. Jen said that her mom enjoyed herself spending so much time outdoors, especially in the desert with view of the mountains or by the water. These were her mom's very favorite ways to renew and seek holiness at the same time. Chuck looks back and finds it absolutely extraordinary and a great source of gratitude that a cousin of his thought the two of them might hit it off. Timing could have been off, but it wasn't. They were each ready to find their forever partner. He wasn't even sure if he was ever going to find it, but Chuck recalls walking up to her front door to pick her up for a date, one of their first, and taking pause and gathering a big breath, because as he walked toward her home to pick her up, poking their faces out of the window were faces of 3 children and a dog, giving him the once-over. He paused, but only to ready and steady himself, to throw himself in, to transcend any previous challenges that any of them had found, and for the greater good, just join together and have fun and make life with those faces in the window, the paws scratching as well, to make his life kadosh, holy, with Patti. A couple of days ago, when we held a Zoom meeting before everyone could get here to Cleveland, I took home from that meeting that Patti's best gift was making special moments forever substantial. Like some people have a special gift for public speaking or strategic planning, Patti made time that transcended what could otherwise be, transactional relationships. She loved enjoying movies, theaters, concerts, museums, and dancing with other people. She and Chuck loved their family trips as well as adventures between the two of them. She kept close bonds with dear relatives, especially close cousins in Cincinnati, alongside whom she was raised more like cousins, but more like siblings. And because she reached remission after her first bout with breast cancer, she made so much goodness happen for other people. She was so grateful and poured her energies into supporting breast cancer research, to raising awareness. She probably saved lives all by herself with how much she has poured into activities that have extended people's life and supported them. Tom wrote to me in the form of a letter, words of tribute directly to his mom. I'm going to read them now verbatim. He wrote about his mom that there's one word to describe her. The one word is incredible. He continues, she knew me better than anyone. She could hear me even when I was quiet. She could read me with just a glance. She taught to your own circumstances, and if your circumstances weren't right, to change them. She believed in listening to what people say, but even more so, listening to them when they're silent. She heard what others missed. Tom explains she had a gift for appreciating the unusual. She'd find a crooked or misplaced door on the street and wonder aloud the story behind it. To her, that uniqueness was beauty. Imperfection made something perfect. She found opportunity in adversity, new friends, new memories, even in the most difficult moments. She followed her curiosities, pursued knowledge, and loved learning new skills. She taught Tom the value of good old-fashioned hard work. I've never met anyone who put more effort into cooking a meal, he says, cleaning a home or crafting something by hand. She gave every task the same care she gave her job, and she was great at her job. She loved good movies and good books. To her, that beat staring at a phone any day. She always found a road less traveled. If you ever traveled with her, you know what Tom means. Because of her, they've had memories that could only be made off the beaten path. She knew that life itself wasn't fair, and that upset her sometimes. How could it not? Especially as she faced with grace something over the last 24 years was nothing short of inspiring. The strength she showed, unimaginable. She loved the open air and the open road. She shared a love for Jeeps with him, and they even shared a Jeep once. I can still picture her, he writes, wind in her hair, dogs in the back, a big smile on her face, and that picture will never fade. She celebrated others, genuinely happy for people, never jealous or petty. She said what needed to be said. She was fun, always up for an adventure, and never lost a spark. Not that spark, not even at the end. She believed family comes in all forms, blood family, lifelong friends, new friends, didn't matter. If you knew her, she probably considered you family. And she probably made you feel like hers. He adds, she loved my wife, Miriam, as a daughter. How she loved and cared for our dear Jackie was superhuman. She brought me to my own personal brand, deciding what I stand for, and to be authentic. She was the most thoughtful person I've ever known. Taught me the power of a handwritten note, a heartfelt card, a meaningful letter. An amazing patient because she wanted to live so badly. And that was amazing considering she also wasn't afraid to break the rules every now and then. So much of who I am is because of her, which is why losing her hurt so much. She wasn't just an incredible mom. She was a best friend, a confidant, my home base. I could tell her anything. She never once judged me. Even in the hardest moments, she kept fighting for love, for life, and for one more time. She found joy in that. Finding new friendships, new stories, new memories. Somehow, even while facing the unimaginable, she'd live. She worked hard and achieved a lot, but she worked to live, not the other way around. As I get older, that lesson only grows more powerful. She was 100% herself. Patti was her own brand. There will never be another Patti. And I'll miss her rabbits text, so the first of the month, her witchy cackle on Halloween, her birthday voicemails, her midnight New Year's calls, her check-ins to make sure I'm okay, and God, I'll miss her hugs and kisses. She was there for every high, showed up double time for the lows. She faced adversity with courage, even when scared. She always got back up. Somehow she used those experiences to fuel her superpower, empathy, strength, and joy. We had fun together. She had wild hair, a thirst for adventure, and a fearless spirit. She never passed up a new restaurant, a spontaneous tour, or a good excursion. She was eclectic, stylish, and full of life. She gave tough love when I needed it, and she cheered me on when I did well, picked me up when I didn't. She never let me drift far off course. Tom writes, she never backed down from a fight when the cause was right. She spoke for others who couldn't. She was a badass. She was spunky. She was a life of a party. She liked nice things because she worked hard to enjoy them. She was strong, but she was also deeply sensitive, and she never wanted to miss a moment. And she didn't. She loved dancing. She never missed a chance to do it. She always put others first, especially family or friends. She was generous with her money, but even more so with her time. That time became memories. Those memories became treasures. And she gave the perfect gifts because she paid attention. She cared. Everything she gave me now fills my heart with love. She was intentional in how she lived. She was deeply spiritual, giving us a foundation of faith, but the freedom to each find our own way. And her faith brought her peace. And that brings peace to me now. It reminds one of how she loved nature, flowers, plants, trees. She took pride in that yard in Lyndhurst, her fruit trees in Gilbert, and couldn't wait to do the same in Greenville. And wherever her spirit is now, I know it's surrounded by vibrant, blooming flowers as colorful as her soul. Her spiritual bond with her dogs. She would go to the ends of the earth for them. I know that all of them have already passed, are with her now. I'm forever grateful for the moments we shared, for the lessons, the laughs, the support, the unconditional love. Tom ends, keep dancing, Mom. There will never be another you. You are incredible. Dear friends, Patti's life force, which we're praising today, it's testimony that we can do this hard thing, accepting that her physical presence is no longer near to us. The notion that somehow something eventually stopped her from making forward momentum. But the values that she lived by, the things she stood for and she wouldn't stand for, those don't go anywhere. They are here as a permanent testimony to her life and her integrity. She wants us to hold on to that, immerse it into ourselves. The values she learned, the substantial way in which she lived. That is a good reminder that as hard as it is to suddenly be grieving for her, one day we'll be ourselves again. We can make it. We can transform this difficult moment into a more hopeful reality. Let's get started. Amen. At this time in our service, I want to ask you all to please rise for the El Male prayer. El Male Rachamim Shochen Bamromim חמצי מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה עם קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת פריבת אדם שחל עולמו ברחמים אסתריה בסתר כנפיו לעולמים ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה אדוני הוא נחלתה ותנוח בשלום על משכבה ונאמר Amen. O God, in whom we pray for full compassion, of abundant mercy, may the soul of our loved one, Patti Spiegle, who has gone into eternity, find perfect peace in your embrace, with all others, pure of heart, whose light shines like hers, like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate one, hold her close to you. Let her soul be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May she find a home with you, and her spirit rest right here with us. May she rest in peace. Together we say, Amen. You may be seated. I'm going to invite the family to make their way out momentarily. I just ask you all to hold here for a moment. This is going to conclude our ritual here today. As I mentioned, the family will be sitting beginning this afternoon at Mary and Michael's home in Solon. Thank you for being here.
This concludes our service. On behalf of the family, we thank you for coming. And following the service, they're going back to make that announcement. Oh, good. So you know. Thank you on behalf of the family for coming.
See you better occasion.